Hi everyone, welcome to the stream tonight. I'm going to be continuing the skateboarder that I started a couple of days ago. I think I started it, was it Thursday? So the plan is, I'm going to finish off the body, finish off the actual character, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a bit of the background. I have zoomed into the character at the moment, so that'll be the main part of the stream, and then I'll go and zoom out, have a look at the background, which is down here, and deal with all the concrete. I won't be dealing with the tree today on the right hand side, but what I might be doing, I might sketch the outline, sort of see what happens. Right, the music's quite loud in my ear. Just making the music slightly quieter on the stream. So as always, let me know if you've got any questions or suggestions on how to do this. So last time I painted the jeans, or whatever trousers he was wearing. I still think I need to do a bit of detail around here, up here. And then I'll move on to the t-shirt, then move on to the arms, the face, and do the hair last. So that's my goal for today, and I'll see if I can get all the concrete half pipe finished as well. So I think I'll probably get started. Now in the reference image you can see the t-shirt is actually blue. Obviously it's not blue in the picture because I didn't want it to blend into the background too much, I wanted it to stick out. So I've made it a sort of mustardy yellow ochre colour. So yeah, I'll start off with the t-shirt. So as always I prefer painting dark to light, so this is the darkest point of the t-shirt, so I'll sort of work out that way. There's a bit of dark around there. So I'm going to use my trusty Payne's Grey to start with. So I'll dab a little bit on there. I'll also put down the colours I've used in the t-shirt, so I think I used the golden yellow, which is this colour. And I'll put down the yellow ochre. So this whole stream I'm going to use quite fine brushes. So this is a size 3-0. This is a 5-0. So I'll probably use these two predominantly. I'll get out a slightly larger one, which is a 1. Just so I have the backup in case I want to do larger areas. So as I say, I always work from dark to light, so you can't really go too dark. As always, I will put down some white though, in case I need to put in a highlight. Just going to change track, I don't particularly like this music. This is better. So I'm going to mix the Payne's Grey with a bit of yellow ochre. And that should make a nice little shadow for us, so we can start in that lower corner. So it's really, really quite dark along here. Probably even darker than what I just painted actually. So the waistband is quite dark. Like that might be solid Payne's Grey, so I'll put that down. So already you can see that has highlighted the rest of the t-shirt just by adding that small line in. Then it comes down and it's really, really fine down here. See how fine I can get it here. It's one of my weaknesses is getting a really fine brush stroke. I think I've achieved it there. And then it sort of, there's a crease that comes in here. Sorry, move the canvas over there. As I was saying earlier, my stream earlier on Thursday, this this whole picture is slightly out of my comfort zone. It's very different to what I've ever painted before. Because it's, first of all, it's got a lot of landscape in it, which is something I never really do. Secondly, I really tend to like focusing on faces and the people rather than necessarily what they're doing, or so it'll be interesting to see how this actually comes out in the end. I will pursue it, obviously. Right now it does look a little bit cartoony, but I think all my paintings do until very close to the finish. So now I'm just adding in the shadow. This is a slightly lighter shadow compared to the one that I just did on the waistband. So already you can see that shadow's coming through. What I will do, I think the camera's a little bit dark actually. Let me lighten it up. Ooh, wrong way. There you go. The exposure's a little bit. So you'll probably see me using my finger to blend in quite a lot during this. The technique that I always use. And I was saying last time about accentuating the shadows. I'm really all about accentuating shadows and highlights to make the whole painting pop. As human beings, we're very good at discerning dark versus light in real life. But I think in paintings it can be a little bit more difficult, so you really have to help the eye out. So you can see I've just blended that in with my finger. And also with art, it's all about what you want to see, not what you do see. So again, I wanted to see a yellow t-shirt, not a blue t-shirt. I've made the base colour yellow because that's what I wanted to see. Well, this bit here is really quite dark. Also got quite a big different profile compared to what it was, compared to what I've actually painted, so I'm just going to add that in. The sky is very dark in this painting as well. I did that last time round. I might lighten up with a very soft yellow shadow, white wash. We'll see how it looks. Sorry, I'll be... So, one of the things I'm looking forward to on this painting is the tree on this side. I've never really done a tree before, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm very new to this art still. I'm still learning a lot of things. I'm learning the ropes. There are things I certainly need to learn. There's techniques I just don't know exist. I'm not really one to follow and watch religiously along to other artists. I do enjoy watching them, but I tend to watch them at a much, much quicker speed. And I really commend you guys for being able to watch while I'm going live. And I thank you, I really appreciate everything. So I'm just doing a rough shadows at the moment, and I'll come back later and do proper shadows. Or I'll smudge it in or smooth it in a little bit more. There's a lot of creases on this t-shirt. It's a big sort of round bit there. So if you haven't seen my shorts, have a look at the YouTube shorts that I've been putting out. They seem to be getting a reasonable number of viewers, considering they're my first ones. I created a Facebook page today, although I haven't really updated it. I put a couple of videos on there. If you can, follow the Facebook page. Just search Ollie the Artful in Facebook. Also on Instagram, it's Ollie the Artful too. I don't really know what I'm doing with social media stuff, so any advice, any help, that would be amazing. Really would be. Sorry, I'm changing the music again. I don't know why, so I use Epidemic Sounds for the music. And I put it on random playlists. So this is an acoustic playlist, so it's supposed to be chilled. I don't know how songs like that actually get into the playlist, because that's not what I would consider acoustic. Just so you can see the layers are building up. I need to, I think I'm going to need to wash it down with a bit of water here, because they're getting a bit liney, as it were. So I'm just going to go over it with a bit of water, see if I can smudge it in a little bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna continue using this brush. It's seems to be a lot more forgiving with the lines. So this is the larger size 1 brush. Obviously when it comes to the details, when it comes to the really fine creases, I'll go back to the other brush, but I'm just lightening it up now as I go up. It's a slightly different colour. It gets brighter as you go up. So quite often when I'm painting, I think this painting is not very good. And at the moment, I'm having that worry. I don't know if this painting is going to turn out very good. When I step back, it looks okay. It doesn't look spectacular, but it looks okay. But I always think about that as a painting. I think, oh, is it worth continuing? But it always is, because actually they always come out really, really nicely. So again, I'm streaming on both Twitch and YouTube. Again, no one's watching on Twitch. I'm almost just thinking it's just not the right channel for this. YouTube, again, I'm getting watchers, which is great. Getting viewers. I just don't think people are interested in art on Twitch. Or Twitch's algorithm doesn't seem to want to promote me. So let me know what you think as you're going through, or write some comments on one of my shorts that I'll publish. So I'll publish the first part, the short for the first part of this painting is getting released tomorrow evening. So have a watch of that, write a comment, tell me what you think. Or write a comment on the recording of this video. Blending in there. Yeah, and it's much darker down underneath the arm, just like it is over here. So I'm just going to first of all finish off this arm, add the shadow in. I'll add a shadow down there. There's actually a slight actually no, there's not a highlight on this edge. I was going to say there's highlights down there. But on this other arm, it's again, it's quite dark around here, so I'm just going to add quite a dark shadow around the edge, just for the highlight. Well, just to make it pop out of the And it's a lot lighter again. Off here. If you can see that, if my hand's in the way or what. Use my finger to smudge it in again. So, there's a lot of people around me at the moment, in the world in general, that feel like the world is against them. And I used to think that. I used to think the world hated me. I used to think I had no future. I used to think everything I tried was a failure and the world just wanted to punish me for some reason I don't really know. And I've seen that more and more lately amongst my friends and colleagues. Just, they think the world is against them. And yes, the world is a more difficult place. It's obviously financially very difficult at the moment. It's very much a dog-eat-dog's place. It's gone, certainly the West is going very right-wing. I think, actually, Eastern, I need to sort out these playlists. I think like Asian countries are not quite as going more left from what I can tell. I don't really know. I don't really follow that much. But it's, I don't know. The point I'm making is everyone seems to be against you. Or the government seems to be against you, or the processes, unnecessary red tape seems to be against you. Like take the NHS in the UK. Yes, you get fantastic service, but to get that service, you really have to get yourself in the system, and it takes forever to do that. I'm a really real fan of the NHS, because I think they're an amazing organisation, especially with the distinct lack of funding they get given. I can't really criticise them. They've done so much for so many people. The NHS. You always get these people complaining about how bad it is. But the point I was saying is, if you're not critically ill, very difficult to get any sort of help. And that's part of the problem we're having at the moment. And I think the world just needs to, I think people need to realise that it's not the world that hates you. You kind of make what you make of it. And I think the point is, don't fight the world, because the world doesn't want to fight back. Go with the world. So many people that are fighting against what's happening, and you're just going to lose. And it's a real shame that people have that attitude. And I understand why. I used to have that attitude. I used to hate the world. I used to think it was awful. I used to think everyone hated me, everyone. I didn't really have any friends, didn't understand why people behaved the way they were. And the point is, people behave like that because it's kind of what culture is asking them to do at the moment, which is wrong. But we have to forgive people for that. And if we forgive people, we suddenly become a lot sort of happier, I guess. Don't have those burdens. It's very much about taking what you've got and maximizing it. It's not about fighting against somebody because they have different opinions from you. Sorry, this playlist is awful. Yeah, I think I've just filtered it so it might be a bit better. Okay, no I haven't. Sorry, I need to change this. Yeah, I think I've fixed it now. So what I was saying the world does love you, and it's true. The world does love you, and I think it only loves you if you love it back. Don't fight against it, is what I'm trying to say. There are so many good things about the world we live in. So don't let the bad things overtake the good things. Because it's not necessary, it really isn't. You don't have to submit to things that are not necessarily going to make you happy. You don't have to submit to all the difficulties. Just take life as it is. And life can be a very beautiful thing, and it is a beautiful thing. I believe we only get one chance at it. And this is why I've started painting, because I genuinely am quite happy when I do it. And I don't think I've been as happy as I should have been. Certainly not recently. Certainly not in the last year. I thought the world was fighting against me, and then I've realised, well, actually, yes, I had difficult times, but it wasn't about the world fighting against me. It was more about me not dealing with what was put in front of me very well, and then blaming others. Yeah, I still think a lot of it was other people's fault of what's happened. But at the same time, I'm sure I'm no angel. I'm sure I didn't make it. I'm sure I wasn't a totally innocent party, is what I'm saying. And I think if you accept that, stop blaming other people and sit back and reflect, or stop blaming situations on something you can't control. Just sit back and reflect. You're just a happier person. I certainly am. So if you find yourself saying, why me? Why is this always happening to me? Just sit back and relax and think, you know what? I've led myself to this point. Yeah, maybe I couldn't have seen it. Maybe I am unlucky. But actually, no, the world doesn't want to hurt you. So yeah, that's what I kind of struggle with, I guess. I struggle with the idea that struggled with struggled with the idea that I was alone and the world was against me, but actually it's not true. I think the world is a beautiful place. There's a lot of beautiful people in here. There's a lot of people who will look after you. There's a lot of people who do anything for pretty much anyone else. And they're not the people of influence. They're not the influencers. They're not the people who we try and model our lives off. They're the real people, the people who work in the background. Kind of people that will go and volunteer to go to somewhere like Gaza to deliver supplies, or Ukraine. And not because they're necessarily politically affiliated with either of the people at war. It's all about humanitarian. It's all about helping the people. It's all about helping the victims, the innocent victims. People have no control over what their governments are doing. And those people are the people that should be running the world, but unfortunately, currently we have a bunch of tyrants. Don't get me wrong, I'm not just talking about the people everyone, all the news is saying it. I'm talking about our own governments. I'm talking about the people who you're supposed to be able to trust. But the point is, don't let it get you down. It's not in your circles of control, so it's not in your circles of control. Just forget about it. It's not your problem. Because the world loves us. If the world didn't love us, we wouldn't be here. So I think that's looking quite good now, this t-shirt. I'm going to go a little bit freestyle, in that I'm not really following what the picture looks like that much. So as I say, today is all about getting the subject done, getting this subject done, and then I'll move on to the background, which you can't see at the moment because I zoomed in. You can see it in the reference image. A bit of paint was too wet. Cool. So that's that done. I'm going to wait for that little bit to dry. I'll do this side and add some highlights on there. Wondering if I want to cheat a little bit. I'll get some beige out. That'll be my highlight colour. I could use white. Well, I probably will use white later on. I don't understand. I've got a blues filter on. Yeah, let's just see if that works. I need to work out how Epidemic Sounds works, if I'm honest. I'm sure there's tutorials and stuff. So I'm just going to add a bit of yellow to this highlight. A bit disconnected at the moment. Also, one thing you really have to realise in life, you have to ask for things. Don't expect the world just to give you what you want. Don't expect people to give you what you want. They're too preoccupied in their own lives. Just ask for it. What's the worst that can happen? If you don't ask for something, you're not going to get it. Well, you might get it, but it's more luck than anything else. If you need something, ask for it, because the chances are people don't realise what you're going through. People are too shallow-minded to know what you're going through, to be honest. I'm not saying I necessarily would know what you're going through if you're in a big bit of trouble. Wouldn't necessarily notice. The point is, if you don't tell people, then how can somebody possibly help you? Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think us men, I ask for help if I need it now, but a few years ago I just didn't. I had too much pride, or I thought I'm stupid for getting myself into this situation. I just thought I was... I'd much prefer to mope sitting at home, crying, because I was depressed because I was in such a fix, hoping somebody would see me, but I never asked for help. And then one day I did. I reached out. And the life just changes because of that. So if you're really down in the dumps and you need some help, ask for it. I did. I tell my colleagues this, or my people I manage. No one's ever going to notice if you're down in the dumps, or if they do, they might notice us. But people are only going to realise if you tell people. They're like, oh, I don't want to give other people a burden. Well, you're not really, because actually the burden is not knowing what you're going through. It's more difficult. Reach out and ask. Saved my life anyway. Might have gone too dark with the shadow, but that's good because I always go a bit dark. I'm going to use a bit of yellow ochre anyway to lighten the whole thing up. So I'm going to add some yellow ochre. I don't tend to wash my brushes that much, to be honest. I tend to rub all the paint off with a paper towel. Don't know why. So as you can see now, I'm just trying to lighten the whole thing up with a bit of yellow ochre. Well, certainly the highlights. Don't know if that's working on stream, whether it's making much difference. So what I was saying was, people won't notice you. And also, if you told someone, don't assume the next person knows. I used to think that. I used to fall for that a lot. I tell one person, just assume they told the right person. Because in your head, that seemed like a logical thing to do. But actually, it's not. Especially nowadays, where if you tell something to somebody, you assume it's in confidence, so you literally can't tell people. GDPR and all that kind of stuff. Which especially happens at work and workplace environments. Schools and colleges. You have to be really careful about if you tell something to anyone who's more senior than you, be really careful. Are they actually? if you report it up the chain, are you breaking their privacy? Yeah, as I was saying, don't assume just because you've told people things. This just looks like American mustard, this colour now. I quite like it. But yeah. That was my little rant about that about mental health. Mental health is so difficult. I've struggled with it most of my life. I think a lot of people have. But on the outside, I come across as this like nice, confident person, doesn't really have a problem, doesn't really seem to care much about what's going on, stone-faced. On the inside, I'm melting quite a lot. And allowing those vulnerabilities to come through, it doesn't matter really to who, whether it's somebody you don't know, somebody you do know, I think is absolutely critical and absolutely beautiful for your personality. And it really does show strength, it really does. It's not a weakness to show your emotions, it's strength. Because it's so difficult. It's actually, I think it's strength to allow yourself to cry. If you need to cry, have a cry. The reason we cry is to make things better. If we weren't supposed to cry, we wouldn't have been designed to cry. Anyway. So I'm going over this t-shirt, trying to make it a lot brighter. Make it a little bit more flowing in the sort of wind as he's moving over. I don't know if I've gone a bit too dark with the shadow. I can always lighten it up, I can always change the colour later on. So once I've finished the whole character, we'll have a look. I like the colour of the jeans. I'm not totally sold on the colour of the t-shirt right now, but I think I can improve it. Especially if I do things like that when going over all the, like a nice light, well, a bit of a wash really, I guess. And blending it all in. Oh, I didn't do the highlights up there. I was planning to do that. Right, so I need some golden deep yellow is the colour I'm using for the highlights. I'm going to whack some down there. I actually use beige. I don't care, I'm actually going to use white. I don't think it makes much difference, given the oh no, the beige did make quite a lot of difference actually. Whack a bit of yellow ochre in there. So right up here, there's the highlights. Covering up a bit of the blue that I painted over yesterday, or the day before, whenever I did it, Thursday. So generally speaking, I'm planning to stream 3 to 4 days a week. Fridays, I'm usually out and about. Saturdays, if I'm in, I'll stream. Sundays is usually my editing day, so I might stream in the evening. I don't know if I can have a consistent schedule. That's the problem. I plan to release at least one full video every week. It's going to be quite a challenge, I think. If I don't have a painting video, maybe I'll do a sort of monologue of mindfulness with some stock images. I might go out and film some things, if I get the chance. Go Go out to a forest, film the autumn leaves, so we can hear things like the rustling trees. Just walk through the forest with me as I'm walking down there. So yeah, I could do things like that. Just create really simple videos of me walking through a forest, talking to myself. I think there's not a lot of that on YouTube. There might be a reason there's not a lot of that on YouTube. But at the same time, I feel like there should be a lot of that on YouTube. I just spoiled that bottom. I might show you a little cheat that I do. Then again, I might not, because it's a cheat. When it comes to highlighting. I probably will show you later on. I think I've got a bit too much, a bit too heavy on this highlight, so that's why I'm toning it down again with this darker colour. Then I'm going to use my finger to try and blend it all in. But it's drying very quick today. And then I'll get some really bright highlight where it needs to be. It's a really nice highlight along here. Another one here. I'm going to put another one here just for some patterns and textures. I'm not really looking at the painting anymore. That's cool. I'm going to try and attempt to lift the dark side up again with more yellow ochre, and I'm going to mix it with the what is it? Deep golden deep yellow. I'm going to use a larger brush for this. I'm going to treat it as a bit of a wash, water it down. I'm going to use my finger to blend it all in. So again, I'm just lifting the colour because I've gone a bit dark. I find it a lot easier to go lighter than I do to go darker. So it's like I have to redo the lightness if I go too light and then I go down the level to dark, I then have to redo the light because it just never looks good unless I put the highlight on the top. As you can see, I'm now highlighting, not highlighting, I'm now basically washing over all the shadows, putting a semi-transparent layer on. I'm really trying to lift that colour back up to where it was because I really liked the colour before. Just changed the playlist entirely. I'm just not getting on with it. If anyone fancies creating playlists for me, feel free to reach out and tell me. I really can't be bothered with music. But these streams would be intensely boring if I didn't put music on. Can't believe you guys all still watch anyway. But without music, I don't know whether these streams would work. But yeah, reach out if you want to help me create playlists and stuff. Give you access to my Epidemic Sounds account, so create a bunch of playlists for me. So honestly, not really into music. I'll listen to it, but that's it. So this t-shirt has taken me quite a while. I think I just got it wrong initially. I'm liking where it's going now though. I think the colour's a lot nicer now than it was a few minutes ago. It was a lot too dark. That's alright, you can make a mistake. That's absolutely fine. Now, I alluded to cheating earlier. And I'll show you that in a bit, so stay on. But I'll tackle this bit first. Make sure the colour's correct. And popping. And then I'm going to show you my little cheat. And I'm sure all of those artists out there who actually know what they're talking about will hate me for it. Or love me, because maybe they cheat too. Add a bit of white on that colour. So there's another short coming out later on tonight, I think at 8 PM UK time. Let's have a look at that. I'm sure it'll appear in your shorts feed if you're the kind of person that looks through the shorts. Make sure you're subscribed though, because if you're not, then you won't get them. I'll have another short coming out tomorrow, which is the first part of this painting in a time lapse of 20 seconds. The short coming out tonight is the final part of the Blue Spotted Ray painting in 20 seconds. Basically, all the paintings I'll do, I'll split them into 20-second segments and 3 of them, so you can watch all my paintings in time lapse of a minute. I think that's a really good way to engage with people who don't want to sit there for 20 minutes or 15 minutes listening to me rabble on. Okay, so I think that works quite well, that t-shirt. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat. And I'm only going to cheat in a couple of certain places. Basically, I've got a paint marker. Oh, it's dripping everywhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tiny little highlights just where I want. All it is white paint, but in a marker form. I don't think it is cheating that much. What it does allow you to do is have really controlled fine brush strokes. Well, marker strokes, I guess. It allows you to add texture in such a lovely way. I don't know if you can see that. I think the camera's a bit overexposed. Oh. Just like with normal paint, you can rub it in. Okay, it doesn't like going on that because I think the paint's still wet. I'm going to add it up here. some reason this paint marker's spilling everywhere. Not sure why. It's never done that before. I do have more, so I could just open a new one. I think I'll just have to wait for the paint to dry. Or I could try the other end. I guess it's a bit like Tipp-Ex, really. What I like to do, I like to accentuate the shadows by putting a highlight right next to it. Because it kind of looks like it's going from a ridge to very dark, so sort of very light top of the ridge, and then suddenly goes quite dark very quickly. You can see how that's kind of accentuated it there. So yeah, cheating with a paint marker. So this is what I was talking about, overdoing the highlights. If you overdo the highlights, it kind of, maybe that's why some of my paintings have a cartoony feel, but it kind of brings out the sort of edges. Like here, there's actually a bit of a highlight there. Then if you can rub them in afterwards with using your finger, it just works really quite nicely. There you go. I've rescued the t-shirt because it was looking pretty awful, to be honest. I've got white paint all over the floor. Another one down here. Actually, oh, that was a bit big. I have to go with that now because there's no way I can get it off. The one thing with the white paint marker is you can't really rub it off like you can with the other paints. There you go. If you're watching this and you've got friends who might be interested, please share it. Even if it's just for the recording. I'm really trying to build my channel. I've had this is my first week on my channel. I've had over 1,000 views, well over 1,000 views. But I'm not getting many subscribers. I've got 40 something. And the best way for me to grow is through word of mouth. So if you genuinely believe and you enjoy my painting, please do, yeah. Let people know. Share it. Really is going to help my career out. It's really going to help me out. And my plan is to try and keep everything as free as possible. So I don't really envisage me. I'm hoping once I'm eligible to be monetized, I won't have to run adverts anywhere in my videos or anywhere during my streams. Just hoping they'll just sort of, I can run them all without. I could probably have to run adverts before and after my videos and streams, but hopefully I won't have to run it during. Unless I'm having a little break anyway. Maybe I know on Twitch you can run adverts when you're ready, sort of thing, rather than automatically. Then again, no one wants Twitch or wants to watch me on Twitch. So there you go. just managed to paint my hand. That's cheating using a paint marker. So I think that's a t-shirt pretty much done. I might go back and do a bit of shadow around here. I'm not sure about this bit here. I might have to go back and do something with the leg, but I'm going to leave that for now until the end. It just looks a little bit like it's been overexposed. So yeah, I'll do that at the end if I do want to do that. I guess the next job is really the arms. Now, as always, skin tone is probably the most difficult thing to create and paint. So in this skin, there is a lot of sort of purple and red, and obviously white and a bit of Payne's grey. So I'll be using all those colours. Sorry, I'm just sending a text message. So yeah, I'll be grabbing those colours out. So I'll be grabbing those colours out to create the skin tones. So there's a bit of violet. Let's use this one, use the big one. I only want a dab of it, I think. Ooh. It's obviously white, so I'll grab some white. I've still got some there actually. I will infer the colour using yellow ochre. I've still got a bit on the palette, so I won't grab that. And then I'll use a probably orange red. And then the violet should take care of the blue. Got some white. And I guess it's now just let's all mix it together. So it's quite useful having a flesh tint already. All it is just white and orange and red, I guess. Lighten that up. Add a little bit of purple in. And add some orange red. And I've got the colour quite close already. A bit dark. I need more white. Just grab the white. I think that's a pretty accurate colour for the skin. There's a really, really lovely highlight across the top of the guy's arm, which I'll mimic as well. I need to do the hands as well. Hands are always very difficult for some reason. So I'm getting the base colour down. I mean, I did this the other day, but I'm just getting the base colour down. Again, wait for it to dry and then I'll go in and do some more detailing. Because although, let me show you the image. If you have a look at the reference image at the top, even though the skin is very coloured, there's a big gradient between top and bottom, or top, middle and bottom. So at the top it's really, it's bright light. And then it suddenly gets really quite dark and then it gradients down to more of the colour that I've just put on. So that's what I'm going to have to try and attempt to do. all the while trying to make sure I make the hand look reasonable. Hands are very difficult. They really are. So I'm going to move on to a very small brush to at least get the outline of the hand really nicely. Made a bit of a mess there. The hand goes like this. There's clear blue between that finger and that finger. Hands are really difficult, by the way. They are by far the most difficult thing to do on any painting. Don't know what it is. They need to be so accurate to actually look effective. That just looks awful. It'll get there. I have confidence in myself. Like that finger needs to come like that. That needs to go like that. That looks absolutely terrible. It'll get there, it'll get there. Right. So now I'm gonna do the hand later. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix a reddish, darkish colour using a bit of Payne's Grey, using a bit of orangey, yellowy, orangey red, sorry, using some of my existing created text flesh colour. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint up from here, which is where it is. It might not be dark enough actually. Get a bit of Payne's Grey on there. Yeah, that's much darker now. Oh, I just knocked that. Is it still in the shot? Yeah. It's a nice little sort of line there for the elbow. So I'm using the reference image quite a lot for this because there's one of those areas that has to be extremely accurate or it's going to look awful. I'm going to have to go around it with a similar blue colour just to make sure. So the actual arm looks alright now. It does need to have a bit more purple in it in certain places, so that's down the middle, I guess. So I'm just mixing that now. Still need to infer the colour from the t-shirt to make sure it's all as one. So the next step down is basically a purple. To grab a bit of orangey red, that detail around the wrist. Actually, that should be all the way down there. And then it's quite orangey red at the bottom here. So I'm just going to put a light brush there. And because there's quite a lot of light poking through the fingers, I'll water this down a bit. The actual fingers are really quite bright in terms of red. I'm just going to smudge some orangey red on the fingers. So hopefully it gets that impression that the sun is going through the fingers. If not, it's just going to look horrendous. Which is fine. I'm actually going to go with a bit of scarlet red, I think, as well. So that's scarlet red. I'm just going to dab a little bit there. I'm going to water it down because I want it as a wash. This is going to go over. I'm going to rub it in. Do you get some red around the fingers? Oh. Okay, I think that's looking a little bit better already. Rub a bit of red there and then just smudge it all in. Okay, there's a really quite a nice accentuated shadow at the back of the thumb. I'm just going to get a bit of Payne's Grey and rub that in. There's a nice shadow in this finger as well. Payne's Grey and just rub that in with my finger. At the bottom of this finger it's shadow as well. And at the end of this finger there's a shadow. Oh, that's far too much. So this is where I need to dab on my paper towel to grab some of that paint off. And I'm going to do the same with this bit. Right, so I've done that. I'm just going to rub a bit of flesh over the top to see if I can highlight the colours a little bit better. The highlights, I should say, sorry. I need to get the blue out. I'll get my paint pen out as well in a sec, but I'll get the blue out and then redefine the outside. It's a really fine line all the way along the top. So currently that looks terrible, but gonna recreate the sky blue. So it was a bit of cobalt blue. And then a tiny bit of violet. Just mix it using this brush. Grab a bit of white to lighten it up there. See how accurate that is. It's not the most accurate, but I think it'll do. Rid of some of these brush strokes if I can. I'm gonna work out if it's the right colour. I don't think it is. It's more blue. That's a better colour, to be honest. Trying to get rid of some of these brush strokes, certainly around here, because your eyes are going to be drawn to those uneven brush strokes that I made. Sorry, 2 secs, just sending a text message. Sorry about that. I'm back. Life got in the way. Right, so I'm gonna really go to town around here and really try and get the shape of the hand a lot nicer than it is now. Even though you'll be looking at this from a distance, you really need the shape of the hand to be accurate. Because if it's not, you'll see it a mile off and it won't look like a hand. It'll just look weird. And I think it's possibly one of the most important bits of the whole painting, this hand. To get right anyway. It's one of those bits that you just won't notice. Except if it's wrong. It's totally wrong now. So that needs to come down like that. So I've just noticed that the actual shape of the hand is completely wrong down here. I need to go down like that and create a bulge. That looks terrible. I know what I'm trying to do. It's really difficult to do this. Really struggling with that hand, as you can see. Sometimes it's just one of those things you might just have to come back to later. Because quite frankly, it doesn't always work first time. Let me just take a bit of the blue. And I think that's a lot better than it was just now. I don't know. That's the most difficult part of the painting by a long way. Really, really fine detail as well. Right, I'm going to leave the hand for now. I'm going to go to the other arm, which luckily is a little bit easier. So, I'm going to use my paint spray. I'm going to get a bit of water to loosen it up, which I've just done. And the top layer is going to be the same as it was before. Let me just grab this one. Come on, loosen up. So as I said multiple times, this is kind of a long way out my comfort zone, this painting. I'm much more, I love to focus on features on faces and everything else. I've not really done much action shots, and I think if you pull it off, then it's fantastic, but it is a challenge. Certainly a challenge. I mean, I'll get something close. I have confidence in that, but whether it's going to be my best work, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how I manage to pull it off, and if I manage to pull it off. Really will. You can see I'm just sort of putting the gradient on this one, just like I did in the last one. The areas that are in shadow I'm painting first, and I'll paint the sort of the detail afterwards. Okay, so I've done the shadows, possibly a little bit darker than they should have been, but that's fine. I'm now going to take my purple and fire the colour from the background. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to really, really focus on the detail around the highlight first. So I'm going to show the highlight there. I'm going to run a bit of a highlight along there just to show that that's a different finger. I don't know if you can see what's going on there, but I think I can. And this comes along here.
I can feel your arms around me.
I need to go back to the shadows because I forgot some bits. So here, there's 1, 2, 3, and then that merges into that finger. Now those shadows are accompanied by a nice, quite a bright red tone colour, where the light is hitting them, and I think, you know, when you put your fingers up to a light, they turn a bit red. I'm just going to paint them on. Getting a bit of flesh tone now. Just going to rub that in the hand there because it's not quite as dark as I've painted it. Thanks, Mildred. How are you? Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Share it to everyone. You good, Millie? So I probably made this a little bit too dark and a little bit too different from the other one. Just adding a bit of orange to infer the colour like I did on the other side. And actually I'm going to use the similar colour here. Whack a bit of that on. Just to try and match this other side with this one. I just messed that up a little bit. Doesn't matter. I can just paint over it with the I can just paint over it with the blue in a sec. Again, I probably need to come back to the hands a little bit. Not my strong point. But what I'll do is I'll sit back and have a look at it for a little while, off stream. Try and understand what I'm doing wrong, or where I've gone wrong. So I think that's really important for this whole painting, actually. Getting the hands right is the most important thing for this painting. So they need highlights, which I could do now. I'm not going to. I will do it with the once it dries, I'll do it with the paint pen. So I need to now just border it off with the correct background colour and get the correct shape. I'm really struggling with these hands, as you can see. I'll get there. Right, I'm going to ignore the hands for now. I think they are they're good enough for me to then consider how to use them. They need a lot of highlights, that's the thing. Certainly this one, there's a lot of highlights on the top which I can paint in. So now I need to focus on the face. Now the face, I'm going to start off with going a bit extreme with the red. And then I'm going to tone it down. The lips are very red actually. Very red. Maybe not that red though. They probably are that red. I don't want to make him look as though he's got lipstick on though. This is a commission, so it is going to go to the guy. It's got a fairly red tongue in there, but not quite as red as the lips. Probably a bit redder than that though. That I've just painted. The lips are a lot wider than I've just painted as well actually, so I'm going to make them a bit wider. They do have a lovely highlight on them. So I will just grab a bit of and then I'm going to use paint grey for the corners where it's really rather dark in the mouth. So hopefully that is not that far away from what it actually looks like in the mouth. Can't see any of his teeth or anything, so that's fine. I think his tongue needs to be a little bit more red than it is, so I'm just going to try and paint it. That didn't work at all. That was completely the wrong colour. That works quite nicely. Smudge that in a little bit more. I think as the mouth goes, that's pretty good, to be honest. Add a little bit of red up here. Perfect. So let's start adding the shadows on the face. So this is very, very small compared to the faces I usually paint. So we'll see how well I get on with it. His chin is quite orange in this photo, and it's also varying the colour from here and here. So that's quite good. There's a nice shadow sort of down here, so I can make that fairly clear. Got quite rosy cheek. Its eye's quite dark, so I'll do that there. Maybe it's not that dark. And then it's surrounded by an area of a lot lighter. Probably this colour here. You can actually see some whites in his eyes. So I'm going to use probably flesh tone. Just put a little pimple of light on the edge of his eye. Possibly another one over here, but that's just pixels. Not one there. Not about there. I'm going to bring his eyebrow down like this and over like that. What that's going to do is going to merge directly into the shadow of the nose. The shadow is going to continue up there, which I'm going to rub in. Quite get that right. Step back and see what that looks like, and that looks pretty accurate to what a human should look like. Whether or not it's what he looks like, it's probably a different story. So I think that's the left or the right side of the face done, pretty much. Maybe he needs a bit darker eyebrows. I'm going to use yellow ochre. And a bit of Payne's grey. I'm going to dab the Payne's grey on. I just messed it up a little bit. I can just dab it and hopefully it'll come off. Gonna grab the darker tone again and just yeah, I think that's quite good. The eye anyway. So the next highlight is on this side. So that's from the edge of the nose, like here, and it comes down there, just like with everyone else's faces, and it comes down just to the edge. So I'm just going to dab that on. Maybe it should actually be here. It's definitely a slightly darker area under his nose. So this nostril, for instance, is darker. Let me just grab a bit of Payne's grey. One tiny little amount. There we go. And that looks pretty good, to be honest. dabbing it with my finger. And then allowing this to bring up here. Just as a shadow there. How's that looking on the camera? Oh. He's definitely got an expression, doesn't he? So there's a really nice dark shadow here on his face. Sort of blends into his shirt there. Maybe I'll make that darker so it doesn't blend in. Define the line between the shirt and the face. Bring up a shadow up here. A nice highlight there, but not doing highlights at the moment. Under the mouth there's a nice big shadow. Say big. The whole painting's pretty small, so it's not going to be massive, is it? And really, I think it's coming to life quite nicely. Obviously a shadow there where these cheekbones are. I don't know if it's a shadow, whether it's a highlight or what. I think this is coming really quite nicely. He's obviously sweating a bit because there's some scattered highlights. Right, I now need to do the other eye. So I'm going to start off with Payne's Grey. Just going to put a dab there. Nice. Some orange on this face as well, so I'm just going to add that in right now. And I said he's got rosy cheeks. To be honest, I kind of missed out on the other side, even though I tried. I'm going to put them back in under here. Nice rosy cheek there, nice rosy cheek there. Dab it in. Nice. So let's step back and have a look. I think it looks pretty good, to be honest, for a face. There's the eyebrow. Sorry, the bit above the eye, not quite the eyebrow, the bit between the eyebrow and the eye has a very distinct shadow. Gonna grab a bit of Payne's Grey. Hit the eye. Ooh. Add a bit on the other side. Tiny bit of flesh tint here, there's a little highlight. Dab it so it's not quite as brutal. There's a very nice bit of flesh tint that comes down the side of the eye really finely. I'm going to do the same here, just so he can capture that light, capture his expression a little bit more. I'm going to make this bit of his nose a bit more red, it's more pronounced. And I'm going to put quite a deep shadow on that side of the nose, just to pronounce it more, just to give an indication of where the nose is. I think as a face goes, that's pretty good. It's a bit reddish around there. The ear is very, very red. Like, there's quite a lot of detail in that ear, which I'm probably not going to be able to capture on this canvas. But I'll have a good go at it. Ooh, a bit too much, but just dab your finger and it's fine. The other thing that's really difficult in painting is ears. I'm going to grab a little bit of flesh tint to do the highlights here. And then there's going to be basically a white highlight as well. Pinkish wash going over it now. Sure, this is my greatest work, but it's still looking quite nice. I like the way the head is now popping a little bit because I put the grey around the edge. Just going to neaten up that jawline. You can really see the pop, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Don't know if this is cheating a bit, but this is what I tend to do to make things pop a little bit. And then I've got 10 minutes, I'm just going to quickly have a go at the hair. So the hair, I'm just going to whack a bit of Payne's grey on because it's quite dark. I'm going to smudge it in. Then I'm going to need to put the a lot of highlights on this now. So I'm accentuating the shadows deliberately so I can put the all the dark bits of the hair, so I can really nicely put the highlights on. Second. Again, there's quite a lot of yellow ochre in this hair, I think. That might have just gone a bit too dark, but that's fine. Fix that. Bring a bit of hair down there. A bit of some down there. Oh, much, but it's fine. That's quite cool. Now he's sweating quite a lot here, so I'm just going to put some highlight, really white highlight there. I'm also going to put it down here. His nose doesn't really have a highlight, but I'm going to give him one. I'm just going to put a highlight there as well. But obviously highlights on the hair, so I'm just going to put some down and then just rub it in. Oh, that wasn't dry. Oops. Oh, I'm making the right mess there, doesn't matter. So I'm just adding some random highlights, trying to add texture into the hair. There's a really, really heavy highlight on the ear. Just do that while I'm here. Right, yellow ochre for the mid-tones of the hair, I think. Rub it in. Just inferring the colour of the t-shirt to the hair a little bit, just to make it match in a bit more. And I'm going to try and texture areas of the hair, just so that it's... Let me step back and have a look at what that looks like. I think it looks alright. Maybe the highlights are a bit too highlighty. Tone them down a little bit. I do think that does need to be more highlighting around the edge though, just to make it sort of glow a bit, I think. Gotta rub it in so it merges. So. Tidy up the mess I made up here with the glue. Okay, that should make it more of a mess. Make it right messy. That's okay. Rescued it. Right, highlights on the hand are the next and final thing I want to do. Let's see if it's going to work. It's a really big highlight at the top. Yep. And that gets a little bit bigger there. And we scroll down and then there's another highlight on that top there. So this is really defining what the hand shape is. We're going to use the back of the sort of the ridge of the hand goes like that. We've got another two highlights, so we've got another one which comes in like that. We've got one that runs along the top of that finger up to about there. Now this is very highlighted here. We've got top of the thumb here. That's got a bit of a highlight there. So I'm kind of defining the tops of the fingers there. Maybe it's not totally accurate, which it isn't. Shading in with this marker pen. I can come in and sort that out if I need to later on, which I probably do. It's the same up here, massive highlights at the end of the fingers. And the biggest highlight, probably in possibly the whole painting, is this thumb. So yeah, that's that. I think that's pretty much me done for today. Thank you for watching again. Again, just accentuating that highlights. I'm just gonna do a little bit around here. Smudge it in a bit. The great thing about doing hair, it doesn't really matter. There's always going to be light being picked up for one or two hairs, regardless of where it is on the head. As long as you get the majority of the light where the light's coming from, which is from this direction, be absolutely fine. This needs highlight most of that side of the face. This is what I really enjoy. I really enjoy the expressions on people's faces, capturing what's happening. Because the subject told me that during this photo he was actually falling off his skateboard. And I think I've managed to capture the fear in his face as he's doing this. That's what I'm really pleased about with this particular painting, with this particular painting that I've just done here. Really pleased with how it's capturing that moment of, oh no, I've done something wrong, halfway through falling off sort of thing. Just adding a few highlights, down here. Just gonna do a bit of the laces that I didn't really get around to yesterday. So yeah, I feel like that's a really nice way to finish today. I might want to play around with that hand a little bit more. I'm relatively pleased with the other hand. Maybe I need to soften it a little bit. But yeah, that's me done. I was hoping to do the skateboard today, but I'll do that quickly when I'm here next week. But as you can see, if I just do a highlight there, another highlight there, and a big highlight around here, probably all brought it together already, which it has. So yeah, nice. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a good evening. That's me done. I'll be back on tomorrow, probably at 8 PM UK time. So yeah, join me to watch. I'll schedule the stream again. So yeah, come and watch me.